Okay, today we are going to take a look at some prefixes, and we are looking at re, x, in, and d, and the meanings of these prefixes and how they change words. And this is part of Words Their Way, Sort 3 for derivational relations. So let's get into it. So first we'll take a look at what each of these four prefixes means, and then we'll get into some words for each of the specific prefixes and define those from your lists. And if you've been studying Words Their Way before, in the Green Book, you'll recognize some of these. For example, re, lesson 46 in the Green Book covered re. X and N were both part of sort 48 from the Green Book. So some of these should be familiar if you've been going through these step by step. And then D will be new. But let's get to the meanings of these now. So re has a pretty basic meaning. It means again. So replay means to play again. Reappear means something disappeared or went away and it appeared again. So fairly straightforward for re. The prefix x means, and in you may remember from the first week or sort 1 of the Blue Book, it meant not or the opposite of. But this week we're giving it a different meaning, which is into or inside. And then finally we have D, which means to take away. So now let's get into a few specific words for each of these four prefixes. And you might notice that X and in are a little bit opposites. And we can also have in and D as opposites for a few words. So we'll keep that. I'll show you that connection a little bit later. So first, let's take a look at re. And we'll start with reconsider, which means to think about changing a previous decision. So simply, it's just consider again. But consider here is you're thinking about it, making a decision, and if you reconsider something, you already made a decision, but you're thinking about it and thinking about maybe changing it. So like if your parents decided something, and then the next week you're like, can we do this instead? They say, well, I'll reconsider it. They'll think about changing it. Next, to reclaim something is to get back something that is yours, so you're claiming it again. For example, once I lost my wallet at a baseball stadium, and someone found it and turned it in, and I had to go to the office to reclaim my wallet. I had to get back something that was mine. And I think the last word we'll do for re is just reruns. You may know this one, but they are TV shows being played again. So the first time that show is on, it's the first one. Any other time they play a show after that, it's called a rerun. So TV shows being played again, running again is a rerun. So next, why don't we start looking at in, but we're going to look at some of those opposite words I mentioned before. Now, for this week's words, it's just a little bit trickier because these root words, hail, terrier, flate, they're not root words by themselves. So it's not as simple as maybe some of the words in re or some of the words we've done before. But I think the meanings of these antonym pairs are pretty straightforward. So inhale and exhale is simply to breathe in and breathe out. Inhale is breathing in, exhale is breathing out. Interior and exterior would mean the inside or outside of something. So interior is inside and the exterior is the outside. And it's especially for a building. And the next antonym pair, inflate and deflate. Please remember D means to take away. So inflate and deflate is to pump up with air, and then deflate would be to take away the air. So take the air out of something. So like a basketball or a beach ball, if you pump it up, you're inflating it. If you deflate it, you're taking the air out and it's getting smaller. And now let's consider a few more IN words. Inhabit, we can simply say it's to live, And we're not talking about good habits or bad habits with the base word. We're talking about habitat. So inhabit is to live in a certain habitat. And one more very simple, inmate is a prisoner. So someone who lives in jail is an inmate. And let's just do 3 more EX words, and then I think we'll do 1 DE, and then we're done. So excess means too much of something. So if you had a class party and there were excess cupcakes, you could give them away to other people. Exile is to send someone away from his or her country forever, like a punishment for a king or something would be to exile them away from their country and they don't come back. That's to exile someone. And then exhaust has a couple different meanings. You probably know it in the form of exhausted, but to exhaust means to tire something out. So if you're exhausted, you're just really, really tired. But it also means the pipe at the back of a vehicle. So this pipe here, where the smoke comes out on a motor vehicle, is called the exhaust pipe or the exhaust. And like any car or motorcycle that uses a motor and has gas, this is where the waste or the exhaust comes out. And actually, I'm going to do one more IN word before we move on to DE. And we're going to do the word install. And to be honest, I struggled with this definition a little bit, but I'm going to go with to place or fix in the position, ready to use. But I want to give some examples. So one way to use the word install is like in your house, if you're putting in a dishwasher or some new shelves, or these guys are putting in some new flooring, they're installing it. So putting in some kind of machine or equipment or furniture would be installing it. You're putting it into place, into position. It's also used for computers. So if you're putting some new software on your computer, you install the software. You're putting it into position and it's ready to use. So that's the meaning of install. All right, so let's go through a few of these DE words and then we're done. So again, DE means to take away. So for example, defrost means to take away the ice or to thaw something out. So if you have a chicken in the freezer, you want to cook it, you first need to defrost it. Or in the winter, if your window is covered in ice and snow, you need to defrost it in your car before you drive away. The word deprive means to take something away from someone, especially if the thing is necessary or pleasant. So for example, maybe if you're in trouble, your parents might deprive you of your iPad, which is a pleasant thing. Or if there were a dog who was deprived of affection from its owner, it would be a very unhappy dog. So that's the meaning of deprive. And let's just do one last one. Decrease means to become less or smaller. So if your classmate moved away, the size of your class would decrease by 1. And the opposite, hopefully you know, is increase, which just means to become more or larger. So just the opposite of decrease is increase. And that is it for this week for all of these words. I will go ahead and post some links to sort 46 covers re, other words with re, sort 48, other words with ex and in, and then I'll link to all of the other word study videos if you're interested in that. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.